Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
Go, go, go. We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. So kind of a lot's happened this summer. I wanted to release good vibes, if you will, conversation for the Operator Podcast. For this episode, I'm going to be talking with former Navy SEAL, former contractor, all-around great guy, Clark Impastato. Ever since just the complete madness of what's happening, from the debate to the assassination attempt to the the RNC, the DNC, all that stuff that's going on, has gone on, is going on. The media, the way they're acting all surprised, like, oh my God, no one told us that Joe Biden might not be up to the task. We'll just blame everyone else and say we didn't know. It's his inner circle, crap like that. So we don't want to get into a lot of that stuff too. My last episode was episode 101, and I broke down what I thought happened, what was missed at the assassination attempt. Is it incompetence, which is really bad, or worse, inside type job? Everything you're hearing now about the different ballistics and all that stuff, we're just not going to get into that today because it's not fun anymore. And we're going to have fun. I'm going to talk to Clark about what it's like. Both he and I were in the Navy SEALs before 9/11, and that's back when we really didn't think there was going to be anything to do. The wars are kind of over. There is pretty much world peace, you know, other than Russia invading here and there. You know, there's I'm kidding. Wasn't a lot going on in the 90s. We had Bosnia and Kosovo. That's about it. The West Coast guys, maybe you can get in there some stuff in the Middle East. They were doing takedowns. But generally, because I was an East Coast Navy SEAL for a long time, Clark was a West Coast guy. The two different style, same dudes, different cultures, sort of. And I want to talk to Clark about being a West Coast SEAL because I'd never been to Thailand. And I want to hear about that. We're going to get into a little bit of BUDS training, a day in the life of Thailand pre 9/11, then post 9/11, where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. Clark actually got out a little bit before 9/11, and you can imagine how that would feel. Well, I want to get in the fight, and I got out, so what do I do? Where do I go? He's going to tell you a great story. Hell of a storyteller, too. So we're going to have fun on the Operator Podcast today. This is episode 102, and I will be talking with Clark Impastato, and it's going to be a blast, so buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go. All right, here we are on the Operator Podcast. I've got a very special guest with me, Clark Impastato, Navy SEAL, cop, private contractor is what he likes to say. I interviewed a mercenary a couple weeks ago, whatever. He went through BUDS class 215. Obviously, I was in the last hard class 208. But just a lot of common interests. One of the first podcasts I was on was the Good Vibes podcast. But Clark, say hello, man.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me, dude. I'm stoked,
I
man.
appreciate it. I did the Good Vibes podcast like 4 years ago. Right?
It was a while ago. Yeah, it was a good one. It was fun, man.
I thought it was a blast because I like to just get with dudes and be dudes, and that's you're like the master of the dudes. Like I'll be pissed when I wake up the next day and see I missed a FaceTime at 2 a.m. Son of a bitch, I wish it was a week.
That's right. Absolutely. That's how you know I love you, dude.
Oh no, I know those are love calls, dude. I mean, if we were on different coasts, it might be a booty call. No judgment here. I don't give a fuck. But hey, I was just telling you off camera here that I watched Superbad with my daughter who hadn't seen it, and she actually brought me this shirt. Can you show us that ID that you have?
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw your shirt and I had to grab my my official ID card.
Oh, what a classic. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. What we do, I call it the Operator Podcast because I talk to other people that operate, and operating is anything. Operating is anything you're doing to make someone else better, to make someone else's day better, or something like that. And I like to get views from other people, what they think, and in the comments, and then I address that. So that's all we're doing. And we don't necessarily need to say who's like, I don't like I'm the toughest guy in the room type bullshit. Just more of a how you got to where you are. Obviously Navy SEAL. Where'd you grow up first?
Colorado. Born and raised in Colorado, and I was definitely never the toughest guy in the room. Usually one of the funniest or the most troublesome, mischievous dudes in the room.
That'll get you through. I think a sense of humor that goes a long, long way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Since the second grade, I've been the class clown, and it's just I've always goofed around and pulled pranks, and just I was voted most mischievous in my high school class, and so yeah, that's just the secret sauce that's got me this far in life, anyway.
Well, that's true, and being the toughest guy in the room, you never know who it is. You're on your jujitsu journey. I've been following that. How's that going?
Oh, it's awesome, man. I mean, like most people, my only regret is not starting sooner.
I know.
It's
I know.
Amazing, dude. My buddies did it for years. I mean, guys in our community were doing it. And I was always like, I'm a gun guy. I'm a handgun guy. Or I just stayed in my comfort zone. And kind of a blessing in disguise. The gun laws in California suck so much. I had no choice. Like, how do I stay sharp?
Yeah. That's where you're at. You're out in California. My regret is I stopped doing it because we were doing it for years, and I stopped because I was rolling with team guys, and they're just trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
And after a couple broken fingers or whatever the shit, it's like I'm gonna chill for a while. My point was like the toughest guy, you don't know who it is anymore because nowadays you can't beat up the dude on a scooter because he might be a black belt. You don't fucking know.
It's a lot of nerd assassins, man. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you go into a jiu-jitsu studio and you're like, oh, I'm definitely the toughest guy here, and then some 12-year-old wraps you up and chokes you. Like,
that's awesome. That's so cool. And I think like a 12-year-old after he taps you out is probably going to be cool as shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you and I growing up, you just had to be either the biggest dude, the rowdiest dude, the craziest dude. But now people have skills, man. The UFC was a game changer back in the early 90s. And so, yeah, I'm glad I'm too old to kind of fuck around and get in trouble anymore. Because, yeah, you never know who's going to wrap you up. And
that's the truth. Yeah. And, the argument that I love hearing is people say, well, it's not applicable to a street fight. And somebody asked Joe Rogan, what's the street applicability of jiu-jitsu? And he goes, well, if we fought, I'd fucking kill you.
That's pretty much. That's right.
No, that's cool. That's cool to watch you go through it, man. It's badass. But I do want to talk about my sponsor, My Patriot Supply, because you do need to listen to this. Stop what you're doing and listen. Your God-given freedoms are up for the taking. Even worse, those doing the taking are the same people who have sworn to defend your freedom. You see them do it, especially now. It's an election year, and congressmen, they every 2 years, man, it's election time. They think they can violate your right to protect your own family. They think they can force their delusions onto your children. Tell me I'm wrong there. They think they control the media, which they're doing, and also hide the truth. Because if you say the truth, and I've done this before, you can get canceled. I've been canceled for speaking what I thought is the truth, and I'm also happy to admit if I'm wrong. But you know what they can't take away, the powers that be? They can't take away self-reliance and peace of mind. Preparation. Do you have a water filtration? You should. Do you have a charged solar generator? You better. Emergency food on your shelf? Get it now. And I mentioned get it from My Patriot Supply. Having served millions of American families, My Patriot Supply is the most trusted name in survival, and for damn good reasons, too. This is my favorite website, preparewithrob.com. Go right now, preparewithrob.com. Save $200 on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. And they deliver 2,000 calories per day, delicious meals, sealed inside practically unpierceable packaging, and these will stay on your shelf for 25 years. And did I mention it's delicious? I'm pretty sure I did. I say it every time. Go to my website, preparewithrob.com. Save $200 per kit with free shipping included. I've done this. I have them. I sent them to every one of my family members all over the country because you got them there. You store them 25 years. You've got food no matter what. If the chaos comes around the corner, which I see it coming, go to my website, preparewithrob.com, and get My Patriot Supply for you and your family. Preparewithrob.com. Back to Colorado. How did the Navy start for you?
I was just kind of a typical kid, played football, played hockey. The military came on my radar when the Persian Gulf War kicked off. I think it was probably my junior year or so of high school. And that is really when CNN was the first 24-hour news network. Dude, I was glued to it. I mean, it was live footage from the Gulf. Yep. I was like, I got to do this. It was just, I was fascinated by it.
I remember watching that. I was a freshman in high school, and I remember we're at Butte Central basketball practice, and the two coaches left because they were both like 20 years old, and they're glued to the screen like, oh, fuck, are we going to get a draft? And I remember it's like Bernard Shaw and Wolf Blitzer was under the bed in the hotel in Baghdad, and all these bombs are going off. Like, dude, holy shit, we can put missiles through windows.
Yeah, that's when they had like the first smart bombs and the footage of it. I mean, I had Saddam toilet paper, Saddam necktie. Like I was all in, dude. I forgot about the Broncos, dude. I was like just such a fan of that situation. And so I just knew right then, I'm like, I want to join the Marine Corps. I want to do it. And I kind of grew up watching, my mom was World War II generation. So we watched a lot of the TV shows and movies about World War II. But then of course, you and I grew up in the era of Schwarzenegger and Stallone. So the Commandos, the Rambos. And so who didn't want to be a Green Beret when you watched Rambo,
yes.
you know?
Yeah. You know, a funny Rambo story, because I watched First Blood when I was younger with my dad. And then I went with a buddy to Rambo in the theater. And I remember I got sick from something because I was young. I wasn't there boozing or anything. I got sick. I had to go outside and puke. And I waited for my friend. He goes, why'd you leave? I said, well, I puked. He goes, well, did you stay to the part where the chick died? I'm like, no, son of a bitch.
Damn it.
Fucker. Yeah, well, yeah, and then Commando, obviously. I mean, that's like probably the greatest movie ever.
I love it. Although I will say it does set you up for little disappointment. I remember the first time I threw a hand grenade and I thought that buildings would collapse and trees would fall down. And I remember just hearing this like, and then you look up and there's like a little like what? It's a little disappointing.
Yeah, that's true. I had a Vietnam vet guy, Patches Watson, actually. He told me shooting a 40 Mike at someone. He's like, it's a little disappointing. You got to kind of aim for the trees above him and hope a branch kills him because it's not going to do shit.
Just a little thunk. You're like, wow. Because obviously the 80s movies, I mean, everything was on fire and cars overturned and
Well, I think that was Chong's daughter. I think it was Ray Dawn Chong. And she would have that quadruple barrel bazooka and fired one backwards into the jewelry store.
Right. Yeah, I had to turn it around. Yeah.
I'm still not buying she could fly a plane. She was just a flight attendant, right?
Well, back then you could do everything. You know what I mean? It was just Magnum PI and all these A-Team movies. They could fly planes, helicopters, rebuild stuff, and with bubble gum and a toothpick, they could solve problems.
I'm pretty sure when I'm home alone making food in the morning, I think if no one's there, I'll say that line. I used to eat Green Berets for breakfast, and right now I'm very hungry.
That's right.
Don't tell any Green Berets I said that.
A couple of them might watch this, man. We're getting ourselves in trouble.
But so then how long after that? You were in high school too, right?
Yeah. So high school, and then I ended up going to college, and I ended up going to Marine Corps OCS between my sophomore and junior year of college. So you had a choice. You could do one 10-week course or two 6-week courses. So I chose the split, and I went out to Quantico between sophomore and junior year for 6 weeks, and I hated it, dude. I knew I'd made a mistake. Even the drill instructors out there said, dude, we mean this as a compliment. You would be a better enlisted Marine. You're just not officer material. Yeah, I was like, I get it.
Awesome.
I knew this just isn't me. And with OCS, you can't really choose your MOS. They do a thirds thing where the top part picks, the bottom part picks. So I'm always kind of a middle of the pack dude. So I knew by the time I got to choose an MOS, I would be like putting shoelaces and boots as a supply lieutenant. Like I just had a bad feeling. So a buddy of mine in college was a former Force Recon Marine. And he said, dude, do a little research. Don't just join the military. to join the military, find something you want, aviation, special operations, whatever it is. And probably like a lot of us, I stumbled upon a book called Red Cell by Dick Marcinko. And that was
all true.
Absolutely. I read that book and said, holy shit, these are my dudes. Dude had a ponytail on the front, looked like a biker. I'm like, sign me up for this shit. And that was the beginning journey of my curiosity of the teams. And as you know, there wasn't a lot of information back then. It was pre-internet. Couple books written. I read Point Man by Patches Watson. There was some Marine books, couple recon books. There wasn't a lot of SEAL books out there other than Marcinko stuff, which, as you said, is 100% historically factual. And
yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember when I bench pressed 500 pounds, like every other SEAL. That's all true.
Absolutely. I think second phase of Buds is when I got 500 pounds. So it took me a little bit, but that was my introduction to the community, and I fell in love with it. And then back then you would go to the recruiter and say, oh, I want to be a SEAL. They would laugh at you. And I don't know if they showed you that video, Be Someone Special. It was like that horrible,
damn right they did.
That 10-minute video that was kind of like mostly UDT stuff. And you were like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of the hooking guys out of the water into the boat shit.
Yeah, it was.
But you got to figure, though, we didn't have a war coming. So what are we going to do? I mean, we'll get back to this, right? I mean, and if not, that's what I figured. We'll just be in the water. That looks great and whatever.
Yeah, have some fun. That's what I figured. It looked great for me. It was true to the Rogue Warrior series books. It was more of the personality of the team guys.
Yeah,
I could picture myself being friends with these dudes because they seemed mischievous. They seemed to not care about shiny boots. They cared more about fitness and marksmanship.
Yep.
Whereas my experience at Marine OCS, it was a nightmare. It was all about being an officer in pressed uniforms, and we'd stay up till 4 a.m. starching our camis. And I'm like, this is stupid. Can't we run an obstacle course? Or I really wanted to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And so that's where luckily I deviated, but my mom was extremely unhappy with me because I left college after my junior year. So here's my mom's proud, right? He's going to graduate college. He's going to be a Marine officer. And I'm like, well, and she denies this to this day. But she says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to join the Navy and be a Navy SEAL. Her first word, she denies it, but it's true. They're a suicide squad. She was so mad at me.
That's deep.
And now, of course, as with you, I'm sure every time I'm back home in Colorado, oh, this is my son Clark, the Navy SEAL. And I'm like, don't say that because you said they're a suicide squad. She was so mad at me at first. But of course, once you graduate, they're happy that I didn't end up in jail and I actually did something.
Yeah, I think a lot of family members might say to your face that you can make it, but most of them don't think you can.
Oh, dude, every one of my friends in college, everybody was just like, this is crazy. You can't do. And like most team guys, especially little buds wannabes, I wasn't anything special. I was a little wiry hillbilly kid. Like everyone thinks you got to be the Schwarzenegger dude to make it through. But as you know, guys that make it through are just kind of regular dudes. And so your friends don't know that. Your family doesn't know that. They think you have to be some, muscle bound, maybe Van Damme looking dude or something. And so I was just a little skinny hillbilly and everyone was like, I don't think you're going to make it. So that was my first life lesson you really have to believe in yourself. Whatever your goal is, as I'm sure it was the same with you. At that time, I became obsessed with it. Every piece of literature I could find, any article that might be in a Soldier of Fortune about SEALs. All I knew is there was some kind of a PT test. I had to learn to swim, the side stroke. Again, being from Colorado, you're from Montana. Yeah. I probably should have been a Ranger or something. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I'm amazed at how many dudes say that, though. Like, so I joined the Navy. Now I better learn how to swim.
I had a buddy on the swim team, and I'm like, hey, I need to learn something called the side stroke. Like, I could swim in a pool, but just kind of, play around. And he taught me the side stroke. And I remember, I think the time was 12 minutes, 30 seconds to swim 500 yards. And I was always at like 12:28, like skin of my teeth, man. And so that was my biggest week. And I thought, okay, I'm good. Never occurred to me that there would be something more than 500 yards in a pool, becoming a Navy SEAL, like the bay or the ocean. I just thought, oh man, I can do this in 12:28. I'm good. And of course, when you get to buds, it's like, oh shit. Well,
then you do have
in my class, man.
Yeah,
Horrible.
then you do have actual swimmers in there. I remember a couple dudes, academy guys, a couple guys swam in college and water polo and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need. They had to hook me up with a surfer that knew how to swim just to kind of guide for me. Like, we can do this, but you can't.
They put me with the class OIC who was on the Stanford swim team, and they said,
Shit.
just chase his fins. That's how I got past my 2-mile time swims. I just see these fins in murky water, like,
If you don't need to guide and you can just follow someone, and keep your hips up, like you can gut it out. Like your technique doesn't need to, like they didn't teach. Well, I learned a little bit, but I remember they didn't teach us how to swim until shit. I must have been at SEAL Team 2 for like 5 years. And they're like, hey, we hired a swim coach. Like, finally, Jesus.
Yeah, it would have been good for like pre-buds or PTR. Well, they did for us. They did say there was an instructor that would show up at noon on Saturdays at the pool. And they said, if you're failing your swims, you better be there. And they did teach us, the combat side stroke. And so eventually I became kind of a middle of the pack swimmer. And that was my biggest weakness. I could run, I could do the obstacle course, all that other stuff. So once I overcame being a hillbilly and being out of water, but in a way it was good. And maybe you experienced this, like getting into second phase, I knew nothing about the water. So whatever they told me to do is just what I did. I had no bad habits from being a diver or surfer. I saw a lot of dudes struggle, and I just, by the numbers, I knew no other way. I was a blank piece of paper. So in a way, the ignorance kind of served me well, because
it does. That I found it does that in a lot of places, like when CQB. If you learn bad CQB from a different team or a different guy or someone that didn't know shit that taught you, you got to dump that and relearn the right way. But if you're the gray man, like you said, it might be a blessing.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, because you don't have bad habits or those training scars, and you just absorb it. Yeah.
What was your favorite obstacle on the O course?
Oh man. Well, I tell you, my worst one was a dirty name because I cracked my sternum on it. So
no shots.
And then of course with the cracked sternum,
you gotta
grinder
hit that
PT, sit-ups, like, it was so painful. But I think my favorite one, I really liked the what was that, the slide for life?
Slide for life, yeah.
Once they taught us to do the commando style on top, then it was awesome.
I hated doing it underneath because you lose your forearms, and then you go to that damn spider wall.
You're done.
Yeah, commando style. I heard they put a net underneath that thing. Actually, I heard now it's an online course to do the slide for life, but it was like a safety. Is it even? I could be full of shit. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Got my butt certificate from University of Phoenix or something online.
How'd you become a Navy SEAL? I went to DeVry last year.
I did the online Hell Week. I had to sit in front of a laptop for 5 days. It was horrible. You have to set your room temperature at a certain thermostat.
You got your carpal tunnel wrist things from CVS.
It wouldn't surprise me. Well, I think like they all moved that down south by the elephant cage, didn't they? I think the whole compound.
I heard they tore it all down. Yeah, I heard. I haven't been up in a while.
I know. I saw something. Someone sent me a picture, and it looked like they bulldozed the whole compound, which is kind of sad because what's the point of going back for a reunion if it's all different? I don't know.
The teams too? All those buildings?
I think so. I think everything. I
gotta find that out.
Yeah, it kind of.
Someone watching this knows. So whoever's there, hit me up. Hit me up on Instagram, not Clark. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, you won't find me.
But so 215, that would have been right around my time. But what about people like to hear about Hell Week? There's always a different Hell Week story. Anything that stands out? Because I talk about Hell Week about SEALs, so a lot of listeners kind of know it's Sunday to Friday. But anything that stands out that was different?
Yeah, it was real different. So we had a dude from the academy that told us about a game called is a game that they would play called Owning It. And so anywhere that they masturbated, they owned it. And they would play this game around the Naval Academy. And so for me, I started playing that game with my buds class. And so the biggest mission was for me to own Hell Week, which is tough to rub one out in Hell Week. But I had an opportunity Tuesday night at the pool. They're thrashing us in the pool. Well, the junior class had put Playboy centerfolds on the back of the shitter door stalls. And I went to take a shit and I closed the door and I'm like, oh my God, I have a visual. I'm going to own Hell Week. And I was reported to the class and they would all, it was like a morale thing, as perverted and weird as it sounds now looking back
whatever it takes.
It was just the thing that officer had taught us and we embraced it and I ran with it. And so I would own like the instructors' offices and even out on the island, the Hell Box, I went in there and, owned it. But Hell Week, I couldn't do it because as soon as I was going to town, some instructor kicked into the door to the bathroom, was like, if anyone's in here, you're fucked. And of course I lost the moment.
Well,
and I
yeah,
came out to my class and they were looking at me and I just gave them a thumbs down and I could just see like, ah,
That's hilarious though. Owning it.
yeah, that was a game we played. In fact, when we went to San Clemente Island, I vowed that I would own it twice the times we hit the surf. And so I would disguise the score in demolition formulas on the chalkboard in the classroom. And I don't know, the instructors must have thought like, wow, they're really doing this demolition calculator, taking it serious. But all it was me owning it versus how many times I had hit the surf through the whole 4 weeks we were there. So unfortunately, I'm not known for much coming out of Buds other than owning it. And it was just, you got to leave your mark somehow. So I left pecker tracks all over Buds.
I'm pretty sure I heard about that. I didn't know that was you.
It was a big thing. Like it really, but it did become a morale thing. And our skit shows became infamous because me and another guy in Living Color was popular back then. And they had the men on Buds or the men on football. So we did the men on Buds. So our first phase skit show was our thing was we were the first 2 gay guys to graduate first phase, and they loved it. And so I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they kept us in training, because they wanted to see the second phase skit show. And by the time we got out to the island, I took my camis and cut out the ass. I had assless cami chaps. And I mean, we had like H harnesses on. I mean, it was out of control. In fact, I'll try to find a picture. I'll text it to you. The third phase
please get
skit
that
show.
to me. Men on Buds. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of my
Owning
outside
it.
of the normal stories.
Yeah, when you said that's way outside. No, but when you said yeah, you're like the class clown. That's something that's really creative. I never thought of that.
Yeah, well, and it kept my head in the game. It made Buds fun for me, and the way the class responded to it, and it was our little piece of morale that somehow we attached to it every day. And it was like this little adventure of, could I own the instructor's third phase office, or wherever we were at, whatever, out on the island, on the flat range, could I own the instructor's porta-john? Because there were 2 separate porta-johns.
Yes,
you didn't dare touch the instructors. And I remember I was in there owning it, and I see the pickup truck coming, and I'm like, oh shit, the pickup truck's driving up to the flat range, kind of winding up the road. And I was like, oh, and then I did it, and I would come out like, yeah, and everyone would clap. The airplane ride out to San Clemente, I owned that. I came out of the shitter in the back of the plane with hands up.
The back shitter with the curtain. That's
and
really
impressive.
Like, yeah! You gotta have some focus there.
Well, it's a lot of pressure, especially knowing 30 to 50 dudes at any point in time are waiting for the results. It's
they know what's going on.
Yes, it is.
I'm really starting to hope that my audience is comfortable with how much team guys jerk off.
Well, they've just found out. Like, oh, okay, that's why it took so long to find Bin Laden. They're busy jerking off all the time. Now they know.
Oh my God. That's why the group of dudes couldn't find him. It had to be the girls that found him. CIA guys are back there in that famous chow hall. Owning the mashed potatoes.
That's right. Oh my God.
Wow. This went off.
Yeah, a lot of nudity and duct tape and masturbation. Those are
yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of how it went down.
That's pre 9/11 teams right there.
That literally describes it, because it was just train like you train. And that's it.
A lot of fucking around.
So you went to team 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, shit. What'd you own there?
Oh gosh, I kind of think that, well, I ended up owning Thailand. Actually, that was my team 5 experience. Was I discovered Thailand, man?
Shit, Thailand, you're gonna have a ton of swim buddies.
Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, team 5 for me was just. I remember I had a neighbor who was a sniper at 5 when I was in the regular Navy, and he told me 5 is wild. You love 5, because I wanted to go to team 3, just thinking of, team 3 is the Middle East. That's probably where shit's going to pop off. But my neighbor talked me into 5. And I remember in Buds, you'd run past the teams to go to chow at NAB.
I remember that shit.
Well, you remember running by the 5 compound. It seemed like,
yeah.
what's behind that chain link fence? Like, holy shit, man.
Is that where they keep the fucking lions? What the hell are they talking about?
That's what I thought. Are these like the work release SEALs? Are these the guys that go to jail or join the Navy? It was a different compound. And then I remember my first day at 5, you know, they put you in the back of the formation and there was a dude hanging upside down from a forklift naked, kind of beehived in duct tape. And there was a sign hanging from him, doesn't want to drink with my buddies. And that was my first impression at 5, team formation, all the platoons formed up. And I'm just looking back like, holy shit, no one's paying attention to him. That was my first day at 5. Wow. Like, this place is nuts. It's like, I thought I was on the ASU campus at a frat house, man.
Yeah, I'm pushing 50. I'm thinking I picked the wrong coast.
Well, the East Coast, you guys actually work and do shit. Out there on the West Coast, they call the Surf Team 5.
Surf Team 5. I remember that. Yeah.
That's what we did for early morning PT. SEAL Team 1, we call them SEAL Team Fun because they never have any. They're like the Marine Corps of the SEAL team. So they would be out on the beach doing jumping jacks, almost like a Buds PT. We'd come out with longboards, hey, hit the surf, you know.
I remember Surf Team 5. Yeah, because pre 9/11, man. I don't think you're going to get to do much. And we would hear I'd run into some Team 5 guys at the East Coast reunion. And it was great to see everybody. And it was just, that's what it was. You stay in your platoon so you can see everyone at the reunion at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just wild, man. It was fun. I mean, during peacetime, how else do you earn your seat at the table? You just act wild, dude. We were just a little pack of Wolverines, man. It was, it's crazy.
And it was funny looking back though. It's like when I knew dudes that had like 10 platoons, like, you're really good at training.
Yeah, training in Thailand deployments. Congratulations.
I'd never been to Thailand, and I'd heard stories about that too. Is there anything you want to share about that, or can we get into it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love Thailand. So I discovered Thailand in the fleet. We went to Phuket, and it was a very different experience. It was a typical sailor experience. It was like, hey, we had some drinks, we had some chicks. And when I went to Thailand with the teams, we actually staged out of Okinawa. The platoon was there. Me and another new guy stayed back with the pallets. We were about a week or so behind our platoon. So when we hit the ground, they were in full debauchery for like a week and a half. And I remember hopping on this taxi, and our medic, who was another new guy, is like, put on your seatbelt, bro. The platoon's out of control. And so Pattaya Beach is absolutely insane. Phuket is pretty chill. Pattaya Beach is like the Vegas of Asia, but worse, like times 1,000. It's just full on debauchery. And so our platoon being there for a week or so, and me and another new guy show up, it was just, it was shocking, dude. Like, holy shit.
No, you're not training at Pattaya Beach. You're just there.
Well, sort of. We had a responsibility to train with the Thai SEALs.
Okay.
But it was a minimal requirement. So we would form up every day at noon in the pool with a beer. And it would only be like 2 or 3 dudes that would have to hop in this little bus, go down to Sada Heap, and then you hopped on this Bruce Lee bonka boat. In about 30 minutes, you would bob your way to Seal Island. And there wasn't much. Like, I taught shotgun breach-in, real basic shit. Most of the time we were hungover and play soccer with the Thai SEALs. Like, I remember one time we were so fucked up that whoever was in charge of the Thai SEALs comes over, and they can't say Clark. The L's and R's fuck with them. And so they gave me a nickname. They call me Ling Ba, which means crazy monkey. So they would say, Ling Ba, take a nap. We'll tell your chief you did good training today. And so we would just eat some like rice with raisins and take a little nap under some palm tree, and the Thai SEALs would play soccer. And so, yeah, there wasn't much training going on. As long as 2 or 3 of us were out there on Seal Island making a presence, it was kind of silly. The rest of the platoon was out just tearing up Pattaya, man.
Oh, shit. What were the Thai SEALs like? I mean, they're obviously not as crazy because they're from there. What do they ever go throw down with you guys, or just let you go loose with the
They do. In fact, we had one of their officers in my buds class. And so that was kind of my first impression. And a lot of foreign officers will come through, and they kind of push them through because their countries pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
But this Thai dude earned it, man. He was a little wiry Thai guy, and I'm sure the cold water was freaking him out coming from a tropical paradise.
Of course.
But he was hard. He was tough as nails, man. He was like the only foreign officer I saw that's like, damn, this dude actually earns it. And so the Thai SEALs are like that, and a lot of them would meet us in Pattaya. And we had a little special bar called Tahitian Queen 2 that we'd all meet at. Our mutual buddy was a veteran of that bar.
Yeah,
I don't want to say his name, but he is infamous at that bar. And that's actually where he and I first met.
No shit.
And we were like the two biggest clowns that we always heard about each other for a while. And then finally we met, and it was like Wonder Twin powers activate. And it got one of us was always carrying the other one back to the hotel room, and it was just chaos there.
What's a normal day? Say you got Liberty Call, right? You're off. What is a normal day from soup to nuts in Pattaya Beach?
Usually you start out at a blowjob bar. My favorite one was called the Pump Station. So
what time of the day?
Just whenever. It's 24 hours a day, dude. So sometimes we would have to say, fuck, what day is it? Well, we started drinking on Sunday. I think it's like Thursday. I mean, it's just constant food, massages. So we would start at the Pump Station.
Now, is that the one where you sit at the bar and like there's like a glory hole at the bar?
Well, yes, sort of. The little curtain opens up, and the little gal pulls up a stool and a bucket, and you have 30 minutes, and you're right there next to your danger close to your buddy, and you're just like, toasting Heinekens. And when it's all done, they take a nice fresh, like a little wet nap or whatever, and they clean you up, and you feel great. And right next door was a place called the Wild Chicken, so we would eat, and then we would hop in a little taxi, and we would go down to a place called Sabai Land and get a soapy massage. And that's intimidating though, dude, because it's like a glass wall with like 200 chicks sitting on like bleachers. And so they sit your little group down at a table, and you sip on your Heinekens, and you're just looking at a sea of Thai chicks. And you're like, so the tradition is if it's your first time, you have to pick your Buds class number. And I still have the number pin they have on their, so I got old 215, bring her down, and they take you to this room that's kind of like a fancy hotel room. It's got like a hot tub, and they put soapy, bubbly water, nice and warm, and they bathe you, and you brush your teeth, you shampoo your hair. And then with a little bucket, they put this hot soapy water on this inflatable mattress on the floor, and you lay down on it, and they spin it. They basically break dance on top of you with soapy water. And it's this weird experience. And you are the cleanest you've ever been in your life when you walk out of there, and you feel amazing. Then it's time to hit the bars. Then we start up north, and we start at Tahitian Queen 1, which was the first go-go bar in Pattaya. Legendary. All the old frogmen are there, all the old school Pattaya dudes. And so we would go pay our respects. It's kind of like you start at McPee's and then go to Danny's maybe. Right. It's kind of a similar thing, buy drinks for all the old dudes. And then we would just start bar hopping. So we would start at TQ1 about 3 p.m. And then by the time we got down to TQ2, I mean, there were days we kept that going for a couple of days. They would lock the doors, and we'd break out glow paint and paint the chicks and just order food and infinite amount of drinks. And it was just, I'm getting out of breath just talking about it. Like, holy shit.
This is a lot. My initial thing was thinking at the pump station, you're in such a mood where they pull the thing like, what if it's a guy? You're like, that's his problem. I don't care.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Nothing. You're going to finish and get wiped off and get sudsy.
Right. A mouth's a mouth,
Oh, Jesus. So this podcast is going nowhere to where I thought it was going to go.
This is a special episode.
Yeah, welcome to the special episode, the NC-17 version of the operator. That's hilarious.
Sorry to disappoint the audience about Team Guys, but the West Coast is a little different.
This is the shit people need to hear. This is what it's like. That we didn't have anything like that on the East Coast. I mean, we went to Lithuania. And it was, it's Eastern Bloc stuff, and they're still pissed that the Russians killed all their dudes. So there's a lot of women, but they're kind of respectful. You're not the only suds that you can own your hotel room, I guess.
That's about it. Yeah, I think you guys got lucky work wise. I was always jealous because I heard you guys got to train with SAS and GSG9 or whatever, and we had
fun, but that's complete chaos. Thailand is
amazing.
I said, I've never been. No, it was like our fun was different, like training with the Special Boat Service, the SBS dudes, and just awesome, funny dudes that have a different sense of humor. And obviously Europe's cool and all that. And we thought Bosnia and Kosovo was a huge deal, but it really wasn't.
Sure.
And then I was with a couple West Coast guys came out to team 2, and we took down a Russian tanker. Jocko was there. We're taking steak knives off people, thinking it's a real world breach.
Well, back then though, you got what you got. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Absolutely.
And like an RNS in Kosovo was like, I literally laid in a hide site that I learned how to make in Indiana, and I watched a dude lean against a pole for 3 days. Like, we're good, man. I mean, maybe I could step on one of those old Yugoslavian landmines and spice this weekend up a little bit. So, but then so you got out of the teams right around 9/11, right around in 11.
Just before, dude. I got out April because not a lot was going on, man. And I just thought, to be honest, like Buds was everything I expected, and the teams was fun. But I thought, why did I go through all this training just to party like I'm at Arizona State? Like, there's got to be something else out there, man. And I was so pissed because I left the teams. I think it was April 2001, so 5 months before 9/11. And a week later, with like $1,000 in my pocket, I just went to Thailand and was just chilling out. I was going to spend like a year, a little sabbatical, being a beach bum. And everything was going according to plan until I saw at TQ2 Hammered. I saw 9/11 go down on the TV. And I'm like, oh, you fucking, I just got out, man. It's like you quit the team and it goes to the Super Bowl. I'm like, motherfucker, man. So I was on my second marriage at the time, and my wife was like, you're going to go back, aren't you? And I'm like, I have to. I mean, look at this shit. Like, no matter where you were. And unfortunately, I just gotten out and I was in another country. I felt so horrible about it. So I called a lot of my former teammates, and to my surprise, they weren't doing shit. I was just baffled. Like, their advice was, the quickest way to get in the fight is the Army. And I was like, what? It just blows my mind. So while I was in Okinawa, and part of the patio crew were some first group Green Beret dudes, the SIF company guys. And so I hit them up and I said, what's the quickest way to become a Green Beret? And they said the National Guard. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. They told me about 19th group and 20th group. They said that's the fastest way to get your long tab. When you get your long tab, then you can switch to a group or do other things and select for other units. And so that was my plan based on the information I got.
Can you explain the long tab?
Yeah. So the Special Forces tab, they have, triple canopy. So their hierarchy of accomplishments, they have a lot of tabs that they wear on their sleeves. And so, you have the Airborne tab, Ranger tab, and then the long tab is the Special Forces tab, which is on top and it's the longest. And so that's kind of how they signify their accomplishments. And then they get to wear the Green Beret and things like that. So that was the plan, the quickest way to get back in the fight. And I had relocated to Colorado, where I was born and raised. And outside of Denver in Watkins, Colorado was a 19th group unit.
19th group is there. Yeah.
Yep. So I thought, great, this is right in my backyard. Easy day. I was kind of fan of the Army because in Colorado Springs is Fort Carson, and I would always go see their air shows, and they'd have the Green Berets do stuff. And kind of going back to what we were talking about with Rambo, I also thought, dude, how lucky would I be to be blue side and green side? To go from SEAL teams to be a Green Beret. I'm learning different things, like as an operator, like, wow, that would be really valuable just to have different perspectives and, just different experiences through different branches of service. So I was really pumped about it. And the National Guard recruiter was cool. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, we'll take you. They brought me in straight across as an E5. And so that was cool.
Yeah.
They gave me, so I trained with the unit. You have to do your PT test, which is a 2-mile run, I think pull-ups, whatever. The kicker was the 12-mile ruck runs in 3 hours. Holy
That's Army.
shit
That's
balls.
Army shit, man.
That's legit, because we did some of that in Buds. I think we had a 14-miler on the island. I don't know what the time requirements were.
I think it was just completion.
I think it was. I don't think there was a time limit. And now I'm in elevation in the wintertime.
Oh, shit.
Doing this fucking rock run. Like, holy shit
I didn't
balls.
think about the elevation, too. That's
in the snow. They don't give a fuck. And so it was 6 miles out, 6 miles back. And the first time I failed it, I mean, I got about halfway and my legs just stopped. I laid there and the truck picked me up. So then I just started working on it. I bought an old Alice pack and I'd throw a weight in it.
That's right.
And I just would run around the neighborhood. And so eventually I got to the point where I could pass the ruck run. You have to pass that before you go out to Fort Bragg. And so once I qualified with the unit, they gave me a waiver for selection, and I was very suspicious about it.
Yeah.
I said, hold on a minute. Is this going to cause problems? Because there was a Green Beret in Buds. I think he was 2 classes behind us. And you got to start one day. You got to go all the way back to kindergarten and go first day of first phase. There's no favors. If you're a former operator, when you come over to our side, I said, I'm not asking for favors. I don't want to go out to Fort Bragg and cause any drama. They said, nope, you're our guy. You're a fully qualified dude from NSW. There's no reason for you to go through fucking selection. You're showing up to Bragg for second phase, small unit tactics. And I was like, okay.
Really?
So I show up with that piece of paper, and my first day I'm standing there in uniform, and I have an Army uniform, Army camis. They still had the Woodlands back then before it got all crazy with their weird patterns. And I had a trident on an Army uniform. And we were all formed up, and this one dude was pacing up and down, and he was giving the speech that, gentlemen, I'm a Green Beret. The weight of the world rests upon our shoulders. And he's kind of going up and down the formations. And then he stops at me. He sees the trident and he goes, what the fuck are you doing here? I said, I don't know. I felt like a foreign exchange student because I don't speak Army. They're yelling at you to grab your 201 file and report to S3, or, you know, I'm just like, what the fuck is going at to nudge the guy next to me? Hey, what are we doing, dude? And I was also older. I think I was 30 at that time, and they had just came out with the 18 X-ray program. So they had SF babies, 18-year-olds. The dude next to me the summer before worked at Arby's. And then you have me, a former Team 5 guy who's, you know, might as well have been 50 at that point, being 30 next to these 18-year-olds. They're just looking at me like, holy fuck. So that, they call them TACs, whatever their instructors are. I forgot what TAC stands for.
I don't know.
He did not like me. And so he brought me into his office and he looked at my file and said, you haven't been through selection. How did you make E5? You haven't been through PLDC course, their sergeant's course. And then he said, you haven't even been through special operations preparation course 1 or 2. And I was like, I don't know, dude, I'm just here. I'll do anything you want. So he kicked me out of the phase of training, and I had to report back to the National Guard liaison officer at Fort Bragg. And he was pissed. He's like, what's, so there was a battle between the National Guard liaison and Fort Bragg, the actual training center, SWIC, they call it. And then there was a battle back at Watkins, Colorado with my unit. So it was like watching mom and dad fight. And I'm just like, please stop fighting. I'll do anything. and they don't have to do their training in order. They have 6 phases of training. So I'm like, look, I'll do language training. I'll go to SEER school because they don't accept Navy SEER school. You got to go through the Army SEER school. I'm like, great, I'll do whatever you want. But my unit back home was so pissed. I was out there for months. It got to the point where I didn't even have to come in. I just had to call in at 9 o'clock every day. Do I have a phase of training? Nope. So I was sitting out there in a ghetto ass apartment with my wife and kids in the hood of Vietnam.
Vietnam, baby.
And I called up our mutual buddy and I was complaining about it. And he said, hey, one of our mutual friends from Team 1 is out on Car's Ice Protection Detail with DynCorp. Why don't you call him and see what this is about? Well, I thought it was all Soldier of Fortune shit. It just didn't, contracting really wasn't a thing yet. It sounded kind of creepy, but I trusted our bro from 1. So I think I emailed him. And he's like, bro, this is the best thing. We're getting paid like 12 grand a month. It's like being in a platoon, but no uniforms, no grooments. Like it's the shit, bro. Up armored Humvees and everything you need. And so I was like, oh, fuck, okay. If he says it's legit and cool, how do I do this? So he gave me the email to a DynCorp recruiter. And I called back to my unit in Watkins, Colorado. And they were like, bro, we owe you. We're so embarrassed that we can't even get you into a phase of training. And I was humbled, dude. I was willing to do anything. I'll do whatever you want. But the unit back home was pissed. They're like, nope, you should do language training, Robin Sage, MOS training, come back. But once I had this opportunity with DynCorp in the State Department, they brought me back to Colorado. They put me IRR and they released me to the State Department because I couldn't make my drill obligations because of deployments with the State Department. So that's how I kind of accidentally found contracting, and luckily the unit was cool enough to just put me IRR. But I was kind of bummed though. Like I was really excited at this opportunity. Had I been a team guy and a long tabber, and in fact, when I was out there, I was partying with a couple of SF buddies on the weekends, and I met one of the sergeant majors from the unit out there, and he was like, And he said, dude, why didn't you come to our selection? You can select for us out of the National Guard. And I said, well, fuck, no one told me that. I would have took another year to prepare for sure. And he told me, in fact, there's one of your guys going through now that was a blue side. And I've seen this dude pop up on social media now. He went from Dam Neck to the unit. And it's the only guy I've ever heard of to do that. He was going through their selection the same time I was out there trying to go through SF selection. And I remember that conversation. I was excited. How's he doing? He's like, oh, he's kicking ass. He's doing great. Years later, I see that dude pop up on social media. I'm like, oh, that's the dude. That's fucking amazing. Like, he did what I was trying to do, but at the top level. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Amazing. So it didn't work out, but I got very lucky. My contracting experience was everything I was looking for. I went out to a selection process in Virginia for DynCorp. Thought I was going to the Karzai Protection Detail. Last minute change. They're standing up teams in Israel. So I was like, fuck, okay, let's do this. I show up there. All their leadership there are like legendary 20, 22, 24-year unit guys. And I was like, holy shit, this is what I've been looking for. These dudes are all business. We're in Israel. We're finally in, like, we're not in Pattaya Beach, Thailand. We're actually in a dangerous place. I got all these legendary dudes. Like, it was amazing. So for me, my growth as a human being skyrocketed because these dudes were so professional, so focused on their craft, everything they did, range time. I mean, I was just taking notes. Like day 2, we're driving around Gaza, getting shot at. And I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. So as disappointed as I was about not doing what I wanted to do active duty, my time in Israel, the 2 years I spent there, was just everything I had hoped for, everything I looked, going in the West Bank, going into Gaza. I mean, it was just, it was an amazing experience. And so finally I kind of found my rhythm in the world of, you know, being a dude. So it was great, man.
Was that protection details and shit in Israel?
Yeah, it was mobile security. So we had 3 teams up in Tel Aviv, 2 teams in Tel Aviv, 3 teams in Jerusalem. And it was just mobile security. We drove around in armored Suburbans, and it was very fascinating for me just being in that part of the world. And it got very real very quick. The 6th week there, one of our teams got blown up in Gaza, 3 guys killed, October 15th, 2003. So that was the first time that teammates of mine, John Branchizio was the only other SEAL in country at the time. And he and I were close because we were the only 2 team guys. And so Cheese was one of the 3 that got killed. And that's when it got real for me. I realized, like, holy shit, you know, every time we went to Gaza, not every time, but most of the time we get lit up by small arms fire, but we had armored vehicles. We weren't that worried about it, but we were worried about the stuff that goes boom, not bang. And then it happened. And it was just a reality check. Like, holy shit, Gaza's for real. Like, the threat level, in Jerusalem proper, buses blowing up, cafes blowing up. So it was a lot to absorb in a very short time, for sure.
What were they using? Because that, you said October 03, so we invaded Iraq a couple of months prior, so the IED threat wasn't that great yet. What were they using? The like Hamas, and Hezbollah, what were they using against vehicles?
It was they designed them for Israeli tanks. And it's kind of this thing that they weld up that almost looks like a milk jug. So it's almost like a platter charge and I forget what it is, but the Monroe effect, what is it? It's not a shape charge. It's some type of thing that it looks like a milk jug, and then it's kind of concaved in the middle. And it's just this big thing that they bury in the ground, and it penetrates the belly of Israeli tanks. And so when you have a Suburban driving over it, you know, you're done. It shredded our vehicle like it was nothing.
Damn. Because now was that's Hamas. They're Sunni, but they're getting trained by Iran. Iran's got interest in destroying Israel because death to America, death to Israel. Is that who's training them at this point? Because Iran got big in Iraq. I mean, the Revolutionary Guard. They taught the explosive form penetrators. Were they training these guys too?
Yeah, Gaza is run by Hamas, and then Hezbollah comes in a little bit. The West Bank is mostly Islamic Jihad, and Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigade is popular in the West Bank. But Hamas definitely runs Gaza. Now they actually were elected and run it politically, which baffles me. But they always had a big presence there. So, and you know, it was weird because Well, when we were there, after the attack, Condoleezza Rice flew out, and we took her down to President Abbas's compound, and she had balls. I really, there was a guest house that was just inside the Palestinian checkpoint that we would have a lot of VIP meetings. But Condi wanted to go to Abbas's compound in Gaza City, Gaza. So she's got balls, dude. We're like,
no
all
kidding.
right, let's roll. We hopped in our vehicles and took Condi all the way down to Abbas's. Like, a lot of respect for that lady, man. She had some balls.
And she speaks fluent Russian, and she's a concert pianist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I met her one time.
Educated.
Very cool woman. She was legit.
She is, and she's very confident. I've been in some closed door meetings with her, and she's just a very capable individual.
Oh,
just
yeah.
very impressed, especially
brilliant.
being a female in the Middle East. Like, she didn't bow down to any of their quirky customs, or she's very professional, treated us very well. So it was nice to be with diplomatic security services, because I got to meet like Laura Bush. We took her from Jerusalem down to Jericho, 22-car motorcade. We were the counter assault team for Secret Service. And then after the fact, she came and hung out with us a little bit and thanked us. And it was some good experiences for sure.
really,
but mostly
really.
it was just, mobile stuff. And so, yeah, those 2 years were so fascinating to me, so different than anything
awesome.
I'd done in the military. So, yeah, very grateful for that opportunity, man.
And then you did get into Iraq with DynCorp, right?
Well, not with DynCorp. So we actually lost the embassy in Israel to Triple Canopy.
Okay.
And they offered some of us to cross over. But I thought, no, I've done 2 years. I want something new. So DynCorp still had Afghanistan. They had still Karzai's protection detail, and then the embassy out of there. And I had some buddies that were out there. So I chose to stay with DynCorp. I went to Kabul, and I got switched
Beautiful
to a
city.
long. Yeah, it was great. You get off the airplane, like, wow, it smells funny here.
This is amazing. This reminds me of that shitter at Breacher School that I owned.
It's the same smell. In fact,
That when
they
you
told us,
said own, I was thinking about the one shooter they had with the one Playboy. It's like, well, it's class not starting for 3 minutes.
I got time.
Yeah.
I had a quick draw, dude. I could do it in less than 60 seconds. You know?
It sucks though, because you got to hold the magazine up with one hand. You can't plug your nose. You got to breathe through your mouth.
You just breathe. Well, they told us and I don't remember the number, but they told us that the air quality here is 28% fecal matter or something. Horrible. Like, damn.
No,
as soon as you get off the plane, it does smells like a porta potty.
Well, I mean, even the places that do have indoor plumbing, they haven't figured out that the shit shelf doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that? You shit on it. It's like shitting on a bench. And then you just,
horrible. Yeah. Well, we'd start to go out into some of the provinces.
Oh,
I got put on a long range team, and we'd go out Panjshir Valley quite a bit. And I remember patrolling around some of these villages, and they just dump their shit right out in the streets. Like, it ain't mud you're walking through. It's just horrible, man.
Oh, this isn't mud. No. And they don't even throw it out. They have that long man dress on. They do the Pakistani squat and then stand up and it's there.
That's horrible.
Hey, watch out for your flip-flops there, Muhammad.
It's horrible. God, but I got lucky. It was wintertime, and as you know, the
Nothing
warfare
going on
is
there.
somewhat seasonal, especially up in Panjshir, and they're fairly Western friendly. Although it's creepy because as you drive up, there's just all these burnout Russian tanks and shit, and you're just thinking, I'm in a fucking Hilux, dude. Like, if they want to rain down on us, I mean, all this burnout Russian armor, it's very intimidating.
Yeah, it is. And that's, and the people that are fighting there are used to fighting armor. And I found that it's almost better to blend in, hide in plain sight, drive the Hilux that doesn't have armor that looks like a local might be driving it. Because you roll in those Suburbans up there, not only are you not going to be able to do that quick S-turn or whatever the shit you're trying to pull up in the valleys. That's fuck. But I mean, Afghanistan in the winter is different though. Spring offensive happens. What year was that?
Would have been 06 that I was out there, but we lost the contract to Blackwater. So DynCorp was losing ground. State Department was interested in the new hot chicks in town. So a bunch of unit guys formed Triple Canopy, a bunch of team guys formed Blackwater.
Yeah.
So we started losing all of our embassies. So I was only there about 3.5 months. I think I got into like April maybe, and Blackwater came in. Same thing. A couple former teammates from 5 were like project managers and leadership. And so they offered me to step across. But then it got weird as we were doing our turnover with Blackwater. They had to wear long sleeves if they had tattoos. You had to shave your beard. And then we had our houses, our DynCorp housing was right outside the embassy, and we were protected by Nepalese Gurkhas and some things. Well, Blackwater decided to build a compound like a conic city outside Jalalabad Road, like unprotected. And that was the deal breaker for me. Like, that's fucking insane. Why would you build a compound off J-Bad Road when we already have these houses fortified right next to the embassy? So if something goes down, we just run inside the gates and team up with the, you know, the Marine Guard Force. Why they wanted to be exposed out there in the middle of nowhere.
Why were they shaving their beards? That's the dumbest thing you could do in that country. I don't understand that.
I know. It was Blackwater had started to take some heat, I think, and so they were trying to be professional. And so if you had tattoos,
if you don't have if you're a grown man in Afghanistan and you don't have a beard, you might as well be in a goddamn tutu.
They said only women and babies are clean shaven.
Seriously.
That's you have to grow some facial hair.
Doesn't see that's leadership that doesn't fucking understand the battle space even.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, just to be their peers, you have to have some type of facial hair. And that's what they told us. We don't care what you grow. You got to grow something. So I just would grow a beard or a goatee or whatever. And dudes got crazy with Fu Manchus, but you got to have something to culturally earn their respect.
You're losing respect right off the bat. It's the turd in the punch bowl type thing. That's stupid. But I mean, but again, they're paying well. So
yeah. Well, for me, that was
I remember some of my guys that left Team 4 after their first platoon went working for Blackwater. They got into Najaf, and they're making money and getting in gunfights. Like, fuck, man, maybe that's the way to go.
Well, I tell you what, for that era of people, all of us saw more shit as a contractor than active duty, and that was just the years we were in. I mean, you can't help when you were born and eligible to serve. You know, you're just kind of lucky. You catch certain waves, right time, right place,
dude.
Whatever.
Luck plays a part in a lot of it.
Absolutely.
It's showing up. You did get to Iraq though with Blackwater?
I did. No, not with Blackwater. So we lost the embassy in Kabul to Blackwater, and I just wanted to stay with 9 Corps because I had been with them a few years, 2 different AOs. You have a reputation, things were good. And so I went back to Thailand and I was waiting for a phone call. And I'm watching my bank account get real small because obviously if you're not working, you don't get paid. And my lifestyle in Thailand was pretty high end. I was out partying and owning things, and I had we called it the bot gun, and my bot is the local currency. My bot gun was always on full auto, dude. There was no single fire.
The bot gun too. A lot of these things, the Tahitian Queen, the bot gun. That's funny, man.
I was burning through bot like I had a minigun, like an A10 was going hot.
Now, I love how we always get back to Thailand. What's the exchange rate like? How much? Like if you're buying a beer, how much bot is that?
Well, when I was there, it was 44 baht to the dollar.
That means
and
nothing.
So, yeah, well, it basically,
no, it's like when someone says, "Yeah, so I'm seeing the white shark, and he must have been 3 meters." It's like, I don't know what the fucking meter. You lost me.
Well, it looks like Monopoly money, so it's not even real. It's all these weird different colors, and so you just go to the ATM and it shits you out all this money, and you really don't even know how much it is. You're like, fuck, I don't know. It's a stack of shit. But I mean, it is so. I always told people you have to try to spend $100. Like, I mean, you can buy rounds, shots for everybody, and you get your bar tab at $7. You're like, I mean, wow, it's amazing. I mean, for example, the pump station was $3. So awesome. There you go. You get your noodle tug for $3. I mean, it's very affordable.
I don't remember where we were, but I did have a West Coast guy bring a case of Mekong, and I got to try that shit. I'll tell you what, that's probably the best. Is that a rum or what is that?
It's a whiskey.
It's good.
It's very good. Yeah, the Thai liquors are great and cheap, dude. I mean, that's also dangerous because now we're partying at like P. Diddy's level because we can afford, especially as a contractor. Like I had millions of baht. I had a lot of zeros. I was like, oh my God, I'm a millionaire in Thailand. Because think about it. The average Thai person makes about $200 a month. I was making 15 grand a month as a contractor.
Yeah.
That is way above the standard. So it was just, they never should have gave us that kind of money and then dumped us off in third world countries because we were bad enough as broke ass team guys. Now we're contractors,
now I'm rich, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm rich, bitch.
I remember, I know dudes that left DevGru and they were West Coast dudes and they moved to Thailand, lived there, and then they worked as contractors. And that's like, if you're single, dude, that's a kick-ass life. It doesn't cost much, except your soul.
Yeah, exactly. No, there was a big rush of that. Absolutely. A lot of dudes were getting out contracting, and we had badass condos. I mean, we had a little rat pack of just debauchery. And what was cool with the GWAT kicking off, both active duty and contractors, especially at TQ2, any night of the week, there was 10 to 20 dudes in there just looking to cause trouble. I mean, you would walk through the curtains and be like, dude, it was just the craziest, like, platoon space. And then there were dancing women. I mean, it was just Tiki 2 was this perfect little hut of happiness.
That's incredible. And then we do it all again tomorrow. Then you got into you were a Phoenix cop for a long time.
Well, yeah, but before that, how I got to Iraq. So I was waiting for a phone
I'm
call.
jumping all over the place.
No worries. Waiting for a phone call. DynCorp had maybe, I think, one little mission up in northern Iraq. And so making some phone calls, there was a project with USIS in Baghdad. And the two project managers were Dennis Chalker and Duke Leonard.
No shit.
And they wanted all former team guys. And I'm like, anything Duke and Denny are a part of?
Dude.
Yep, I'll do it. And all it was you're a former team guy. Somebody will vouch for you. Just fucking get here. So I'm like, I'm all in, dude. So
Dennis
I fly
Chalker
in there.
Fucking legend.
Dude, I remember my first day. I was so excited because to me, Iraq was the big show. Like, oh my God, I finally made it to the Super Bowl. I'm excited now. And I had all my shit on, like a little kid at the bus stop, first day of school. And I see Duke and Denny doing a little perimeter check early in the morning. And then Denny starts beelining right towards me. And he was my command master chief at Bud. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Too. I haven't seen him since Bud's. And he comes over and he gives me the up and down. And he goes, what class did I put you through? And I was like, do I still call you Master Chief?
I don't know what to say to you.
I don't know what to say to you. He goes, no, call me Denny. And I said, I don't think I can do that. So yeah, it was a great project. We were training a unit called the ERU, Emergency Response Unit. And I was surprised, dude, because at active duty, I can only teach the tie seal shotgun breaching, nothing inside the room. And I'm like, I don't know why. The tie dudes seem pretty cool. I don't think anyway, there were boundaries to what we could teach the tie seals. Now, fast forward as a contractor, we taught the ERU everything. They were divided up into 3 squadrons. They did sniper initiated assaults, explosive breaching. As soon as we taught them long gunning sniper attacks on U.S. troops, skyrocketed throughout Baghdad. So obviously we're giving the playbook to the enemy.
Yes.
At a high level, and then they're going back to their villages or whatever. And like, I really was disenchanted with the project. It really baffled me that we were literally teaching them everything at the highest level. And it just, to me, it backfired. We habitually do that throughout history.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can, we publish our manuals too, and they read through that shit. We found that out the hard way in Western Iraq. These were Iraqi. How were they though? Because I've dealt with those.
Horrible.
Dudes.
Yeah, it was nothing special about them. They were only there because they were related to somebody important in the government. They never wanted to train. Every damn day was like a holiday that they wouldn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas. They wanted to operate on Christmas. Our one holiday.
That's like, all we got, man.
Same. So they were horrible. I mean, accidental discharges.
We were
worried about the students turning on us when we were on the flat range. So we had the Guardian Angel program. You know, like 5 of us would step back and just be ready to drop them if they fucking turned around on us. They
can do that quick. And it
happens all the time.
All the fucking time.
So it was scary, dude. We were just outside the BIOP, and we shared a fence line with Camp Cropper where Saddam was being held when I was there. So it was a busy place. I mean, we always had perimeter checks, perimeter runs. We had the enemy inside the gates. You know, you'd be in your trailer at night and you'd hear footsteps out on the gravel and you would just sleep with your M4. Like, fuck, dude, we didn't even have to go outside the wire. I mean,
they're in there. They're in there.
They're already in there. It was really a creepy thing, man. So it was, I did 2 rotations on that with the ERU and I just didn't believe in it. It was creepy. I just knew something bad was going to happen. I didn't like it, but I loved the team we had together under Duke and Denny. I mean, it was like a dream. I even bought his book, One Perfect Op, and I had him sign it and I read it, you know, and I was like quizzing him, like, you know, but he told us that's one of the stories in the book for our Hell Week brief to kind of motivate us and stuff. Yeah. And so it was cool to read that in the book, and we'd be in our safe house in Baghdad, and he and I would kind of talk a lot and about different stuff. And so to bond with Dennis Chalker outside of Bud's being the command master chief was a very cool experience. And so that part of it, I loved it, you know?
Oh yeah. It's cool. He was my master chief too. And I saw the first time he ever said anything to me was one day of Bud's. And I'm obviously an E2 or whatever. And I had laced my boots wrong or
Oh,
something.
shit.
And he said, and I'm just looking forward. Don't stop here. And here's Dennis's big old beautiful mustache in my face, and his barrel chested frog, man. That's who he is. And he said, your boots are laced the wrong way. And I said, something like, I wasn't aware of that. And he goes, are you calling me a fucking liar? I'm like,
Oh shit.
I literally want to, I hope you just shoot me. And then when I was in third phase, I saw him again because he lost a bet, and the bet was 100 push-ups, and he did 100 push-ups in his khakis. Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck? God,
Like
damn
it's nothing. Yeah, for
Nothing.
people that don't know, to me he always looked like a werewolf, man. He had kind of
Yeah.
that spiky hair, the mustache, the
Yeah.
barrel chest. Like that dude is what you would expect the frogman to look like. Like that dude was so legit.
I'm sure we're telling like Rogue Warrior stories, but he was in that book, and I'm pretty sure he's a
Yep.
plank owner at 6,
He
as
is,
like
yeah.
an E4 or an E5 or some shit.
Yeah, both Duke and Denny were plank owners of 6, and that's why
man.
I mean I knew they were project managers on. I was like, whatever they're doing, I
want to
want
be
in.
a part of that team. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So yeah, that came down to a completion. Really, what happened to me is I realized my first deployment in the fleet was 96, and then I did a deployment in 2000 with 5, and then I did 8 more deployments as a contractor. I think 5 to Israel, 1 to Afghanistan, and now 2 to Iraq. And I realized I had a light bulb moment that my toddlers were now teenagers.
Shit.
And I thought, holy fuck, dude, if I get killed, they'll never even know who I am. It was a weird light bulb moment. I suddenly realized where I was at and what I was doing. Like, wow, this is really stupid. You know, I don't even have to be here. This isn't for the flag. This is for my bank account. I'm surrounded by the enemy inside the gates. Like, it was just a very weird scenario.
Yes.
So I said, it's time to go. And so my heart left the contract community. I finished out that deployment. I went back to Thailand, married my current wife, who I've been with 20 years now.
She's fucking awesome.
Oh, she is. I got real lucky with her. She's full auto, man.
I've only met her on our FaceTimes, but they have nothing. Every single, like, if we had like they do after Skype, rate this call 6 out of 5. Fucking fantastic.
She is. She's a clown herself, man. I won the lottery with her, man. She is my kindred spirit, man. We just crack each other up all the time. It's
good. That's good.
It's amazing. So yeah, I go back to Colorado, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, what do you do? Former team guy. I just left the contracting community. I'm like kind of thinking to myself, like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And I thought, well, maybe law enforcement. So I looked online. No one's hiring in Colorado. It's not really a thing as far as their hire process. They hire like 2 dudes a year for the sheriff's office, real small community up there. And so my brother was living in Phoenix, and I thought, oh fuck, let me check Phoenix. So I got on the website. Phoenix is hiring 500 dudes. I thought, great, I can slip through the cracks. And I went down to Phoenix, took the written test, the physical test, passed, and then I got sucked into their hire process. And then I spent about 8 years with Phoenix PD, running around being crazy.
Yeah, what were you doing there? Just what was your what kind of a cop?
Well, I started out on patrol, and I wanted to be a SWAT dude, but you have to do patrol 3 years before you're eligible for SWAT. So I got approached almost like a creepy locker room scene from a movie. These undercover dudes came to me, and they said, hey, dude, with your tattoos and shit and the way you act, like you don't act like a cop, you'd be a great undercover guy. We know you want to go SWAT, but you can't do it for 3 years. Come hang with us. Come do some undercover shit. We can do it right now. Wow. I'm like, great. How do I do it? The team leader said, I know your patrol sergeant. We're buddies. I'll get you over here on temporary assignment. So that was great. He said, don't shower, don't shave, just show up. And I'm like, finally, something I can do in law enforcement. Fuck yeah, I can do this all day. And I loved it, except my 3rd day undercover on a temporary assignment, I got into a shooting, doing a hand-to-hand crack deal from a van in the hood. And so that kind of became a
Can you take us through that?
Yeah. So I go on temporary assignment. It's called the X-ray squad, 46 X-ray. And they get me doing some hand-to-hands at the homeless shelter. So I'm buying crack at the homeless shelter, which to be honest, kind of hurt my feelings that nobody asked me if I was a cop. I blend into the homeless shelter and I'm buying dope. Like, this kind of hurts my feelings, man. So real low level stuff. They're just getting me used to the terminology and how things go down. And the team leader is cool. So me and him were dirtied up. We were in plain clothes, but we always had a hit car with uniform tactical guys that could come in and help us out if we were getting fucked up or something. So day 3 of this temp, which is going great, we're having dinner and we decide to go into a Crip neighborhood called West Side City. And the team leader wants to do hand-to-hands from this. We had this Scooby-Doo van. So we sat up front. There was a curtain behind us and 4 tactical guys were behind the curtain. We would say a code word when the hand-to-hand happened. They would deploy out the side and the back and effect the arrest. That was the plan. But as you know, plans always go to shit. So I'm the driver. And as we're going in towards West Side City, the team leader says, dude, why don't you get experience doing the hand-to-hands from the vehicle? I'll drive. And I'm like, okay. So I worked that area in patrol. I know it's a horrible place. So as we're driving in, I had my Glock and I said, hey, do you mind if I pre-stage my Glock under my right leg? Because I'm afraid if something happens at that window, I can't fight through layers of, I mean, no, I'm done. He said, yeah, do what you want to do. I said, I just want to make sure you're cool with it. So we pull into this neighborhood, 13th and Cocoa Paw, and there's this Hispanic gal. We pull up and just do the lingo. Hey, what's going on? We're looking to party. Do you got anything? And she's like, yeah, what do you want? And I said, hey, can we go across the street where it's a little bit darker because we're right under a street light? Long story short, we go south of the intersection to that dark corner. All of a sudden, 2 guys are with her. And I hear one of the tactical guys say, we're about to get jacked.
No shit.
So my hand kind of slips down. So I pretend I'm kind of holding my junk, but my hand is on my Glock. And as soon as I took possession of the crack, the dude lunged in and put a revolver in my face. And so luckily, I just had my hand on my gun. I pulled up, I shot 5 times. And I remember seeing the tritium of my front sight, and I saw the silhouette drop, and then it disappeared. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? What I didn't know is the team leader thought I was getting shot. So he hit the gas pedal to the van and we lunged down the street like 50 feet. The tactical guys were trying to get out of the side and the back. If there was footage of this, it was like a clown car. These dudes in tactical gear were falling out of the sides and the back because all they heard was gunshots. So they're trying to get the fuck out of the van. They thought Clarky Boy had gotten dumped on, like just ate him in my chest. And then all of us, I see this one dude running with a gun and he books down an alleyway. So I get out of the passenger side of the van and I hear one of the tactical guys say, Clark's alive. They thought I was just bleeding in the front seat. They didn't know that I was the shooter. So I chase after the guy, hold on the alleyway with one of the tactical guys. And before I know it, the SWAT team shows up. And I was like, oh, the guys in hockey gear are here. Like, they take hours to get to a scene. Like, holy shit, is my sense of time warped? Like, they never just appear. Well, it turns out they were just driving by when the tactical guys put it out on the radio.
And again, so, there's that luck factor.
100%.
Yeah.
So they took control over the scene. And I noticed the dude that I had shot was bleeding on the sidewalk and nobody was with him. So I walk over to him. I throw in a chew. And I'm just kind of talking shit to him, like, you're fucking stupid, dude. What are you doing? Like, I was kind of upset. And one of the SWAT dudes comes over and he goes, dude, who was the shooter? And I said, me. And he's like, God damn, you're calm, dude. I just threw in a chew and I'm talking shit to the guy bleeding. Honestly, I just didn't know what to do. I mean, what do you?
That is exactly what you do.
I'm just gonna hang out with dude who's bleeding. I mean, fuck. So
yeah, I'd be careful though, being a cop in Phoenix, giving him a courtesy shot and then throwing a gun on him.
Yeah, right.
They frown on that in like the real world.
Apparently.
Oh my God. Oh, that is fucking crazy. I didn't know that story. This is the first time.
Yeah. So it was fun. And what was funny is once the scene was secure, I got whisked away by a supervisor. They had like a command site because it was like a 3-hour search for the dude that ran off with the gun. And so it was still an active scene. So they put me in this van and the union shipped me an attorney. And they said, you have to talk to internal affairs, but you don't have to talk to homicide. And I said, well, will it hurt me? And they said, no. I mean, this case seems pretty cut and dry. You have 5 officer witnesses. Dude pointed a gun at you. It won't help you or hurt you talking to homicide. So I'm like, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
So the funny part was it was a real crusty Nick Nolte looking detective, real fucking cool dude, man. And he was, how long have you been on the department? And I said, oh, about 1.5 years. And he goes, you already plain clothes? And I said, oh, no, I'm on temporary assignment. He goes, you're on a temp? I'm like, yeah. He goes, how many days have you been on your temp? I'm like, this is the 3rd day. He goes, holy shit, because you're off to a good start. So he was real cool. He's like, hey, before we go on tape, you're in fear for your life, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, I
100%.
was terrified. Absolutely. So I thank God, like I
You
had a
gotta,
cool
yeah.
dude that said,
Yeah.
"Hey, dude, get your head in the game. We got to talk about certain things." And so I'm
Oh,
glad that.
Jesus. Yo, yeah. I'm glad Nick Nolte was there, not fucking NCIS.
Yeah, right. I mean, you could have had some rat dude that
Oh,
tries to
they try to.
goes.
He'll talk you
No,
into saying the wrong thing as he's recording it. Fuck that
absolutely.
guy.
Well, and it's also fucked up to interview a dude that just got done shooting somebody.
Yes.
Some departments give you like a 3-day grace period, or I mean, it was like right after it happened. Now, obviously, I was a little older. I was in my
Well, and you
mid
got
30s.
experience.
I
Yeah,
had overseas experience. But imagine if you're a 21-year-old rookie who's some Mormon kid, they're going to be terrified that they just shot somebody and they could say weird shit. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of a fucked up
being
system
some
that they...
as opposed to knowing to say, "Yeah, he was coming right for me." I was scared shitless.
Exactly.
Is that why you shot him 5 times?
Yeah. He did a mag change and then dumped
And once
another
with
mag.
his gun.
Yeah, he shot him with his own gun. I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
How did he get the grenade in his hand?
And
how did you have a grenade?
South Phoenix has grenades. This guy did.
Son of a bitch.
Definitely not mine.
This guy did. And why'd you dust it for fingerprints? That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So that was fun. I ended up testing full time to that unit. Had a great time. And then it's kind of like the military, dude. There's always the group of other guys. So I get into this undercover world, have a lot of fun adventures. But then I hear whispers in the hallway about camouflage and night vision. And I'm like, what? As a cop, we can wear camouflage and night vision. What is this about?
Yeah.
So I got a phone number. I call the dude up and he's like, how did you fucking get my number? He's kind of mad at me. Who's your sergeant? So I gave him that information. He calls me back and he goes, you didn't tell me you were a SEAL, bro. Of course you can come out to the unit. He goes, you were that kid that shot the guy on the temp? He goes, come out with us on a temp.
Shit, we
gotta have that reputation.
Hey, who's that intern who's killing everybody?
Exactly. Clark will shoot him.
You don't even need to know him.
Yeah. So I got put on this desert interdiction team called DIRT. It was like Desert Interdiction Rapid Response Team, multi-jurisdictional, camouflage, night vision. We had 31s, and we were hunting backpackers, the Sinaloa cartel backpackers, in the desert outside of Gila Bend, Arizona. And I just was in heaven. I was like, I want to do this forever. Mm-hmm. Daytime, we would track people because they would backpack to a mile marker on the highway, and then a car would pull up. They would come out of the bushes and throw all these bales of dope, and they would take off. So we discovered we could at night hunt these backpackers down and jump them, and they usually just dump the packs and run anyway. So it was a real fun gig. But we got a new police chief, and he disbanded the unit, and I had to go back to patrol, dude. You can't show me how the other half lives. And now I got to go back taking shoplifting reports and loud noise complaints. And I was like, dude, I felt like a kid that got his balloon popped, dude. I was like,
line? Something about Mary. You're talking Gorgonzola when it's clearly brie time, baby.
I know, dude. It really took the wind out of my sails, dude. I mean, God, dude. I mean, we would be at strip clubs spying on Hell's Angels, getting license plate information. Like, it was just undercover world was wild. It was everything I wanted. Wait, you could use your imagination, your creativity. Mm-hmm. There was one dope house that we couldn't get eyes on to call out cars and do a traffic stop outside the neighborhood. And you do 2 traffic stops that point to a house, you get a search warrant, you kick the door. And I'm like, I got a ghillie suit. I'll crawl into this field and I'll get plate numbers. So undercover stuff, you could use your imagination. You could use prior skills. Yeah. I loved it. You could be creative and catch the bad guys in very unconventional ways. Yeah. Wow. Wearing ghillie suits. My patrol sergeant's like, that's fucking brilliant, dude.
And then you get the new boss in who, like, one of those Quantico guys.
That's it.
Shave your shit, start your 100%. Uniform. And, oh God.
Well, and we were the highest producing unit for felony arrests. We had the most dope seizures, the most search warrants. I'm just like, and I was learning to type up search warrants, get them signed by a judge, all the back end shit. Like, it was so fascinating to me. And we would do our own level 2 search warrants. If it was a real dangerous guy, we would get special assignments in there with us. So now I'm actually working with the SWAT guys. I mean, I'm like, this is going to be fucking great. And then the chief got rid of the unit and I'm back on patrol. And I got disgruntled, dude. That's easy to see. nothing wrong with patrol. I mean, they're the workhorses.
no.
They're like the infantry guys, dude. They
Well,
do all
yeah.
the heavy lifting.
They do all the work.
But
Yeah,
you can't go from special operations to infantry. You're supposed to go from infantry to special operations.
You're supposed to work, earn it,
Work
earn
your
it,
way,
earn your
yeah.
keep. Jesus.
So that's how I got disenchanted. But a lot of cops can't shoot. And so when the annual qual would come, my phone would blow up. So I would meet friends at the academy and I would change 2 or 3 things and get them past the handgun qual. So I started to get a knack for firearms instructing. I started to really enjoy it. Like, hey, I can actually kind of help people become better shooters. So that's ultimately why I left the police department. I went out to Texas and was a firearms instructor for about 3 years. So it was a tough decision to make, but I just,
it is, yeah.
you know, the politics started trickling into law enforcement. Every briefing was 10 more things we can't do, 10 more things we can't say. They made foot pursuits out of policy. You can't chase a dude on if some dude takes off on you. So now we're just secretaries with Glocks. I mean, it was just really
who comes up with these ideas that
the chief.
I mean, because that's all that we saw that in 2020 with the defund the police shit.
Yeah.
And they can't use chokeholds, which is the best way to subdue someone without hurting them.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you and the cameras come out, as soon as a cop reacts and he's getting in trouble, and then they wonder why crime is just shit everywhere.
Well, morale in the police department, I know for a fact, when I was in, we would do proactive police work when the radio was quiet. Now it's time to hunt. Let's go in that neighborhood that just had a drive-by or break-ins, and now when the radio's quiet, those dudes just tuck back in and play Angry Birds on their phone because you get in trouble for shit. So now there's no more proactive police work. When the radio was quiet, we'd cruise neighborhoods and look for dudes hopping fences and things like that. We loved that opportunity to really start working. And now I guarantee you it's nationwide. It's gone because guys are getting in trouble.
Where is that just going to now? Where is that going to go? Because I mean, we see the crime rates everywhere, especially with the open borders. And I think one of the problems too is, I mean, since we're getting into current events, a lot of these, if they're not doing the lawmakers and the 3-letter agencies that are, if they're not trying to destroy the country because they hate the way it was founded, they're so naive to think like if you tell someone from the Korengal Valley is not like someone who grew up in Manhattan, this is not even different cultures. This is a different fucking century. And if you just let them in here, I mean, look, I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of these dudes who grew up without seeing chicks, they come here, they're going to get that rapey vibe.
Oh, for sure. And it happens. I mean, look what happened with all the refugees in Europe, all these rape cases and stuff in Sweden and things and all throughout Europe, because these dudes, they've never seen a hot blonde chick. And all of a sudden now they're in Sweden.
And a lot of them have a hard time controlling their urges. And you see that in Afghanistan on Baku Bazi. I'm not even getting into that shit because there's stuff in Afghanistan that I can't tell people some of the shit because they think I was making it up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very barbaric, man. And now you bring these people here. And I think it's got to be intentional as opposed to ignorance. It has to be. No one's that stupid. It has to be this thing they're trying to do. The whole defund the police and
well, and you got like the Soros funded DAs and the attorneys general that are just catch and release. Now, not even catch, just let them and then you got the guys on the subway that stand up for someone, they're going to prison.
I know. Isn't that crazy? That happens all the time. The Good Samaritan is now the bad guy.
We live in wacky world.
It is. I feel like I'm trapped in a Twilight episode.
It's like when Superman was kind of wearing the faded suit and he's getting shit faced. Bizarro Superman,
flicking peanuts. Remember that?
Yeah, Jesus.
That's right. It is.
Well, what? Okay, since we're here, what you got recently? You got put in the doghouse. You got banned from Instagram.
I did, dude.
Why?
And dude, you followed both my pages, my
yes,
original page and this one.
Dude,
it's goofy.
Your pages and your
goofy.
the Good Vibes podcast, man. That's like all good shit. And
it's just fun.
What did they tell you what you did?
Both times the same exact thing happened. I just get an email that says your account has been permanently suspended. You will no longer have access to this platform. Done. Unplugged, period. So it happened with my first account. What's that?
Did they tell you which post it was?
That's it. Just an email that says you have been permanently suspended. And it could be a post because my Frogman account that I had before was a little edgy. I made comments about the summer riots and stuff, but it was just anything I might have knowledge about, like the Summer of Riots. I was part of the tactical response unit that did crowd control downtown. And so I would give kind of my opinion if it was in my lane, but nothing over the top. I mean, maybe some political humor, a funny meme or whatever. But this new account was nothing but time with my daughter, jujitsu, safety guy stuff in the woods, like just goofy, happy stuff. I can't imagine why I got unplugged like that. And so I gave it a second chance. And I built up a following after that. And it is frustrating because there's a lot of content, videos, pictures that are just gone now. And I like to use that influence for positive stuff. You know, that's why I came up with the Good Vibes podcast. My page is funny things. And I also get a lot of DMs, you probably do, from kids that are curious about the military and stuff. And I'll message them. And some of them I'll give my phone number to and talk about, hey, I want to join the Navy. So I like that ability to reach out to people and in a positive way connect. I don't know what I did to get unplugged twice. I don't understand.
Because I think each time you were up to like 100,000 followers.
Almost 100,000 followers. And it's the same formula. Right when I get to almost 100, and it's happened to our buddy Mitch too. I mean, he was at like 300,000 followers and they unplugged him, and he's on his like 5th or 6th account.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
And that's affecting livelihood because he's got $1 million business, and then
he monetizes through that, and they really screwed him on that first one, man. I caught him off guard. He had to revamp his whole strategy because he just thought, hey. So at least for me, it was never monetized. It was just for fun, but it's still, it kind of made me sick to my stomach, dude. But when Elon bought Twitter, I opened a Twitter account because I thought, all right, Elon bought Twitter. It's on free speech. So I opened it.
Tell us what your Twitter handle is right now.
It is Clark_Impastato.
Spell that all for my people and for me writing it down.
Sometimes I can't even spell my own last name. So Clark, CLARK _ Impastato, IMPASTATO.
Cool. That's on X. And so everybody go follow him right now. I'm not just saying that because you're my bro. I'm saying that because like your content, I would wake up with a smile. Oh, look, what oh, look at that. I saw one a couple of weeks ago, that shitty ass debate. They said, in case you missed the debate, it was just an elephant fucking a donkey.
That's awesome.
I know. I mean, that's funny. If you can't laugh at that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So we're gonna do that. I'll push that out. Tell us about the Good Vibes podcast before we roll this up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. It was fun having you on. I decided
I love that, man. We'll do that again too. That'll be a blast.
Yeah, no, I love having you on. It was fun. Ritland has a podcast, and I just kind of got me in the mode. And so I figured out how to do it, but what is it going to be? What am I going to contribute to the podcast community? A lot of team guys do the things, military guys. And I thought, I've always been the class clown. I'm a goofy dude.
Good.
And I just thought it was in the very beginning of COVID. And I thought, well, what does the world need? The world needs good vibes. I'm just going to be goofy, funny, happy, like no agenda, no strategy. I just want to kind of goof around, kind of like maybe a Howard Stern format back in the day, throw baloney at strippers or something stupid. I have no idea what it's going to be. So that's it. So just the Good Vibes podcast with Clark Impastato and Ryan G. Yep. And I think goodvibesdudes.com will link everybody to it. It's in my X account. Yep. Okay. Good Vibes Dudes.
That's all there on your X account. Clark_Impastato. And then the Good Vibes podcast is on Apple and all that shit.
Yeah, the audio version is on all the Spotify, and then we published the recording on Rumble because we were getting episodes pulled from YouTube. So we exclusively. And again, what were we talking about? Like, holy shit! So we stopped YouTube. It's all on Rumble. If you want to see me pick my nose during the podcast,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, good. I'll put this one on Rumble as well. I got a Rumble page. I'm not active enough on it, but I'm gonna get after that. Cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're gonna do this again, but Clark, man, you made my day. This is so much fun because I'm like, well, what are we gonna talk about? We haven't talked about before, and all of a sudden, well, we went there.
We from masturbation to shooting people. We covered a lot of territory.
Yeah, masturbating in an outhouse to shooting someone in Phoenix. What are you gonna do?
That's right. Crack's a hell of a drug.
Well, brother, thank you for coming on the Operator Podcast. I had a blast.
Thank you. It's been an honor, brother. I appreciate it. Love what you do, man.
So that once again just shows you that a lot of stuff can happen wherever you are. Be there, present yourself,
and you can get in some wild adventures. I mean, if you're a young man, apparently you can just join the Navy right now and go around the world, maybe see it from 10 miles away, or get right up and personal. That's fun talking to Clark. We're going to start zipping and zinging now that the vacation side of summer is essentially wrapping up. So we'll get into some new adventures here very quickly. I assure you, some breaking news coming out on my end as well soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. And remember that if you just obey the community guidelines, whatever the hell that means, you're never out of the fight.